We used a range of media technologies in the production of our film, and they were vital in ensuring that we achieved a high standard of production value. In writing the script, we decided on using Google Docs to create a collaborative area where all group members could make contributions to the script and keep up to date instantly. This ability to allow all team members to access the material at any time made the process of constructing our idea much easier. As well as a collaborative space, we also had our own individual platforms to make our own notes and plan the project. For this, we used Blogger, which allowed us to publish posts online for other group members to see and for our teacher to be able to easily access. When carrying out research for our film, as well as using already existing information on the internet surrounding the genre, we also decided to gather our own market research. For this, we used a survey tool, SurveyMonkey, in which we tailored a questionnaire surrounding the general idea and themes of our film. From this, we gathered information about our target audience and how interested they are in different genres and similar ideas. When it came to planning the visual look of the film, we were able to carefully plan shots thanks to the use of the app Kadridge, which allowed us to frame the shot and adjust the settings of the camera that we were using, the type of lens, and the exact focal length of the shot. This was especially helpful when it came to the more complicated opening scenes outside. We were debating what way to block the outside scene and were concerned that getting coverage could be difficult. However, the app let us view shots as stills and work out framing before the shoot days, which saved us a lot of time on our filming days. When casting our film, we made use of social media platform Facebook by joining a Facebook group called NI Actors Tweet Up, and then writing a casting call to be posted into the group. In this, we described the required actors. This proved to be very effective, and we received a number of interested actors. It was important that when making this call that we clearly stated that it was a student film and that the work was unpaid. Social media was an extremely useful platform in this case, as the page was filled with amateur actors who are looking for opportunities to perform and gain experience and show real content. Posting on social media was also very useful, as the post reached a larger audience. The group had almost 3,000 members, and to further our reach, some people in the group who found the post interesting shared the post to their own personal Facebook. The camera we used when filming was a Canon 550D. This contrasts to last year, where we were using much simpler filming equipment. The Canon camera allowed us to change ISO, aperture, shutter speed, and capture a higher picture quality. The ability to attach and change lenses, this also allowed us to manipulate the image in more ways to suit the story. While filming, it was essential that we used a tripod in order to achieve smooth shots, as the lens that we were using, when combined with the camera, proved to be a very heavy setup. Because the setup was so heavy, it made it difficult to hold the camera for long periods of time without it shaking. However, we did choose to film some shots handheld, as we thought it suited the scene better. It did increase the difficulty, and it took slightly longer as there was more to think about. However, we feel that scenes such as Ethan's corridor scene really benefited from a less static way in which to capture the shot. When recording the voiceover, we considered using a microphone to achieve a high quality of sound. However, after further discussion, we realised the voiceover was to be quite distorted and that we would be editing and adding effects afterwards anyway. Because of this, we decided to use a built-in iPhone recorder in my phone. When I first recorded myself saying the voiceover, I held the microphone quite close to my mouth. However, after playing it back, I discovered there was too much interference, and although we wanted the clip to be distorted, this kind of interference when it came to breathing was not professional sounding. I found that the best way to record the lines was to hold my phone away from me and point the mic towards my mouth at a slightly downwards angle. This resulted in a quieter recording. However, it was much more crisp, and we were able to increase the volume in the editing program Final Cut Pro. The lens that we used included a Sigma 18-35mm lens, f-stop 1.8. This lens provided many advantages when filming, such as its fast aperture. This was a benefit, as the majority of our film took place in a room with a single window. The fast aperture provided us with more light, and it also provided us with the opportunity to shoot with shallow focus, allowing us to draw the attention of the audience to things that were more relevant in the shot. The lens's wide focal length, 18-35mm, was also a benefit when filming in a small, compact room. We also used an ND filter, or neutral density filter, which controls the light entering the lens. As a result of this, exposure is much easier to control. The filter stops the light reaching the camera sensor, therefore allowing us to leave the camera with a higher aperture. We combine this filter with a 1/8 black ProMist filter, which heavily contributed to the cinematic look that we achieved in our film. This filter took the harsh digital edge off our film and blossomed the highlights, which is what caused the soft, organic and nostalgic look to our film. To create our film poster, we used Photoshop to combine the text and the image. We downloaded a font from the website DaFont and inserted it into the poster using Photoshop and positioned it accordingly. We also used Photoshop to create our film review and went through a similar process in arranging the text and image to provide an aesthetically pleasing image and text. In the editing process, we used Final Cut Pro as our software. We used this software to edit our final project last year, so we were much more confident in using it this time, and we were able to utilise its features to a greater extent. Final Cut is where we've seen our project truly come to life and begin to look like a real film. Something that Final Cut added to the project which dramatically changed it was the letterboxing. We previously decided that an aspect ratio of 2:35:1 would be best for our shoot. This gave the film the cinematic, widescreen look that we wanted. In Final Cut Pro, we also made use of the blading tool and used the shortcut key of B to quicken the process when editing. In order to download sound effects and soundtracks, we used an online downloader called Y2 Download, which allowed us to directly gather our copyright-free music and sound effects from YouTube. This allowed us to then click and drag the file onto the timeline on Final Cut Pro. When it came to editing the soundtracks, we found it very effective to use the fade tool when introducing and ending the soundtracks. At the beginning, where Neapolitan Lights is featured, we faded out while fading in Mick and Steve's dialogue, as well as the street ambience. In Final Cut, there was some preset effects for both sound and video. We added the transmission coming from the earpiece and found it a setting called Old Vintage Radio that really added to the sound. It gave the perfect amount of distortion and the transmission-like quality that we were aiming for. We also needed to use a filter for the opening dialogue between Mick and Steve, as this was recorded separately in a room and the shot was taken from outside, so we used an outside filter to make the dialogue sound more authentic, as well as including ambience. We used a Zoom H2 recorder to gather sound in our film. The most vital thing for us to remember when using this was to watch the levels that were shown on the display. When listening to the audio through the headphones, it was important to make sure that there was not too much interference, such as breathing or static noise. The H2 recorder is an external field recorder, and it easily picked up on the sound of the room without much need for positioning. The levels on the display depended on the environment we were filming in, the volume of the actors' voices, and whatever, if any, movement is occurring during the scene. To conclude, Media Technologies in our project helped us achieve a professional project, and when we utilised all our resources, we were able to make the process much more efficient.